From the heart of Tiger Nation, this is where the insiders talk. Real stories, real access, and the pulse of Memphis athletics. You're tuned on beat with BCM. Now, let's get to the show.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of On Beat with BCM here on the Bluff City Media Network. I am Memphis Tigers men's basketball beat reporter for Bluff City Media, Roman Cleary, and I'm joined as always by our football insider, Sam Shoemaker. Shemaria Wiseman is off this week due to personal reasons. We hope to have her back on the show very soon, but you will see Shemaria later on in the program as she interviews our Mugshots Women's Basketball Player of the Week, Tamya Smith. That will be towards the end of the show later on. But Sam, it is a special Christmas Eve edition of On Beat with BCM. At least it should be Christmas Eve by the time everybody is watching this. I don't know about you, Sam, but Christmas really snuck up on me this year. It kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah,
I think a lot of people have echoed that sentiment too, but everything came up so fast. But Roman, Merry Christmas, brother. To all the viewers, we're definitely grateful that y'all are willing to spend this time here on beat with us. And definitely enjoy this episode we got coming. Enjoy time with family, time with people who care for you.
Yes, indeed. Now let's get into the thing that has consumed most of my December, and the very reason I haven't even been able to think about Christmas much less even watch a Christmas movie until
Roman. What was your Christmas movie of choice?
I watched Scrooged. The one with Bill Murray that came out back in the 80s. That was my Christmas movie of choice. But that was the first Christmas movie I've watched this entire Christmas season. And that's because covering this basketball team has just been a mess, as you can imagine. They break their 3-game skid against Alabama State last night. But it was a very eventful week of Tiger basketball beyond that. First off, they blow what should have been a win probably against Vanderbilt that would have given them the signature win that they needed to keep their at-large hopes afloat, but that did not happen. So this, probably limits Memphis to having to win the American Conference Tournament later on, but we'll get to that later. And then they lose at Mississippi State, another game that they seemingly had down the stretch, but gave it away. And Penny made some very interesting comments about a lot of different things in Starkville after that when I was there in person for that very introspective and revealing presser that I think we're going to talk about here. But Sam, just starting with this one from Monday night at the Forum against Alabama State, I mean, how crucial is it for this Memphis team to just get on the winning side of things again, even though it doesn't really help them in any tangible way?
Right. You actually just hit on one of the main points I wanted to get on is like, at the end of the day, the at-large bid has been long out the window. Like, we haven't thought about Memphis being able to obtain one of those spots in a minute, just because, you wanted that Mississippi State win, you wanted that Vanderbilt win, but those were just for the vibes. That's to prove to fans, to prove to themselves.
I don't know. Vanderbilt would have done something. Vanderbilt would have kept them afloat, probably. That's a top 10 net win that they would have gotten there.
But I think Vandy is a net fraud, and I think that'll be exposed. But that's a different tangent. You're right. Like, but this Mississippi State win in particular, that was just a vibes win. Like, you wanted that, you needed that, and the fact of the matter here is, you kind of hit on it, Roman. These teams, I mean, these are games that Memphis could win, maybe should win, but at the end of the day, this is a team full of guys who have never won. They've never won to a super high level other than like Sincere. But I think Penny made his bed and he's laying it, and it's tough. And Roman, I really want to get your thoughts on just that presser. I wasn't in the building, of course, went back and was able to watch that, watched the one after Alabama State. And Roman, you asked a great question. I'm sure we'll get to that, but Penny just doesn't know. He's just lost because he hasn't really been in this situation in like 7 years, and it's just tough. But it's a team full of guys that just don't know what it looks like. But we're having player only meetings, and it might be a little late in the year to have player only meetings for what we've had. But this team hasn't won before. None of these guys have won to a high level, and now against teams who do have a bunch of winners, against Chris Jans and Mississippi State, and then you have all those guys at Vanderbilt who have won before. guess what? They know how to do it. So you're going to lose more of those games. Going into conference play, it might look a bit different, but we'll get into that later.
So where do we want to start here? Do we want to start with Doug's comments about the player-only meeting after
let's
State on Monday, or do we want to go hit from Starkville? Like, there's a lot we can get into here.
Right. And, if you, the viewer, hasn't gone back and looked at what these are, they're just telling, and look, we'll help you out. We'll take you through it. And I guess we'll start with the players.
I mean, it's our job too.
Right.
Certainly my job too, anyway.
We'll walk you through that. And Roman, you were there, so I'm going to put this on your shoulders. It's your job. What did you take from what Doug said? What was that? Because the vibes are low, because this team's now ready and now they're going to make a turnaround because of the players only meeting? What is it, Roman? What do you expect?
Well, if you remember to the beginning of the season, this actually at least from a public standpoint, as far as we know, this is actually the second players-only meeting that they had. Quante Barre told us all about the first players-only meeting that they had before the San Francisco game at the beginning of the regular season. And during that meeting, Quante told reporters that Memphis, quote-unquote, nipped everything in the bud. That was the players-only meeting that was supposed to.
I hate players-only meetings.
But that evidently did not happen because Memphis proceeded to spend the next 2 months playing like they were ready for Christmas break from the very beginning of the season, especially against the likes of UNLV and Louisville and blowing opportunities against other teams. So we get to after the Bama State game on Monday, where Doug had just played by far his best game as a Tiger. Hitting a career high or tying a career high with 7 3-pointers, 23 points, and really bouncing back after combining for 12 turnovers against Vandy and Mississippi State. So it is interesting that there's apparently been another players-only meeting. This players-only meeting took place, according to Doug, after the Mississippi State game at Starkville in the visitors' locker room. There was no real leader or director of traffic in the meeting.
Does that worry you?
I think it just kind of is what it is. I think it's been clear for a while that there's been no true leader on this team. Right. I think Doug wants to be that guy, but he just doesn't probably have the voice or the personality to do it. Penny kind of alluded to that when he was speaking with us last night.
Yeah.
He literally called Doug a, quote, quiet leader. And what that means to me is that Dug McDaniel doesn't, again, have a loud enough voice or a powerful enough voice to really direct traffic the way that a player of his caliber probably needs to. And Doug kind of, added on to that with what he said. He told me that I don't think I'm leading the way that I should right now. Like mentally, I needed what happened to me with this Alabama State game. I mentally needed this game to get on the right track, but there's still a lot to be done. I'm still not leading the way that I need to. I'm still not doing the things that I need to do for this team. So it doesn't really surprise me. I don't know how concerning it is, because I think the fact that there was no true director of traffic, no true leader in this players only meeting that they had in Starkville, I think it just continues to harp on what we've already found out about this team from a personality and a leadership standpoint. But yeah, there was no real, majority voice in this meeting. Everyone got their piece in. Everyone, was able to express their thoughts on what was happening. Guys apparently laid into each other. I'm guessing that means it got heated at a certain point. But either way, all 15 players spoke. The coaches were not involved in it. And perhaps this players-only meeting will pay more dividends. And chances are it will, because Memphis will be facing significantly weaker competition moving forward. I don't know how much of a true opinion I have on this players-only meeting. I think it just kind of is what it is.
Right. I'm kind of anti-public players-only meeting just in general. Like, players-only meetings are super important. If anyone's ever played basketball at any level, you understand just the importance of that. And player leadership and just player ownership and accountability. But I hate the whole making players, and this is not an attack on the Memphis Tigers team. This goes at all levels of basketball, and people use it as cop-outs and oh, this went bad, but we're good now. We had a players only meeting. We're good now. And at the end of the day, it just really doesn't mean that much because everyone in the nation is having those, and it's kind of the expectation. So I don't know. Maybe I don't dislike, but I definitely kind of like scoff, for lack of a better term, when I hear that a team had a player only meeting, because I'm just like, well, yeah, you should, especially on a team like this where one, you're struggling, and two, like you just don't have any clear leadership. You don't have any clear voices. And I do like what Doug said that you brought up, Roman. Like, I think accountability is really important, especially for a struggling team. I don't know. You just hope this team hasn't given up yet. And I don't think they have. I think the Alabama State win was just a good way to get back into the win column. I think now you're about to face North Texas conference play. You're about to just get right on the right track. I don't think this team's given up. But maybe a team of guys who doesn't know what it takes. Roman?
Yeah, I wrote about this players only meeting after the Alabama State game last night. Here's the quote from Doug on what exactly went down. Quote, each guy just spoke about what are we willing to do to sacrifice, or what are we willing to do to change it? What are we willing to do to sacrifice and change this? Because we're not trying to keep feeling like this no more. Some guys got on other guys got on other guys, and we all just took accountability. Nobody talked back. Everybody listened. We just held each other accountable at that moment. We felt like it was needed at the time because we should have won that game. So it was a positive conversation. Of course, the game that Doug was referring to is the Mississippi State game where Memphis led late and then committed a multitude of turnovers down the stretch. I believe 7 turnovers in the final 7-13. Doug committed 3 of those. So that just kind of, again, I just don't know how much of a true opinion I have on a players only meeting like this.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've heard about it already, and it didn't really work. So we'll see again if this is gonna end up any different. But I think all of this circles back to, just the personality and archetype that Memphis acquired this offseason. The bulk of this roster, especially the more talented players on this team, they all come from places where they had issues. Dug McDaniel had issues at Kansas State. Aaron Bradshaw had issues at Ohio State. Zach Davis, issues at South Carolina. Hassan Abdul-Hakim, issues at UTRGV. Tierno Silla, issues at Stephen F. Austin. Sincere Parker had issues at McNeese State. These guys had problems off the court at their previous schools, and because of that, they were, ignored or otherwise passed up by programs that would have taken them otherwise, and Memphis was able to get them on a budget at a cheaper price point. Penny kind of said this after Mississippi State. If we're gonna go to that, because I know you wanted to get to that as well.
Certainly.
One of the things that Penny said after, they lost PJ Haggerty and Dane just somewhat unexpectedly this offseason, and Penny's kind of talked about it over and over again. That was a big reason why this roster ended up being what it was, because he waited arguably too long on Haggerty and Danger to make their decision to return. And honestly, for me, just to expand on this, that is not only 100% true, I think even waiting on Dane and PJ is kind of underselling it. He pretty much bet the farm on it, Sam. That's what happened, especially Dane in his waiver. He had something of a backup plan for PJ leaving. That was obviously Sincere Parker, or at least it was supposed to be Sincere Parker. But Memphis, as he mentioned, and as I was told at the time, they lost multiple high-level players in the portal almost directly because they were told that they had to wait on PJ to make his decision. I think of guys like Tanner Toulson. I think of guys like Amari Monroe, Amarian Dickerson, Those are 3 guys specifically that Memphis had real interest in, that they were involved with. I'm not saying they would have necessarily gotten any or all of those players, but they would have had a shot, at least hypothetically a better shot at least, at all those players and others in the transfer portal if they weren't hung up on PJ Haggerty, because Memphis could not afford to acquire some of their higher caliber targets in the portal and retain PJ. Those 2 things were not going to happen simultaneously. It had to be one or the other. And you can't really blame Penny for choosing to pursue PJ Haggerty. That's a second-team All-American. That's just a sacrifice and a gamble you have to make. And if I'm him, I'm taking that gamble 10 times out of 10. But it's a gamble that he made, and it's a gamble that ultimately didn't work out.
Right. And
now,
honestly,
as far as
you can't blame PJ either, because maybe you can blame him for the exact way, but you can kind of just blame the way college basketball is and the way the portal's set up. You can't entirely blame PJ.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And as for Dane, I will say the Dane one was always a little out there to me because look, Sam, the Danger waiver was a long shot from the start. It was. Like, even going back to mid-season in January when I first started hearing that Dane was going to pursue this waiver to try to come back, I was told then that it was a long shot. That was almost certainly not going to happen. And lo and behold, it did not happen. And yet there seemed to be no real backup plan at all. They ended up spending a lot of money on Aaron Bradshaw. And then they supplement the rest of the front court with dudes that were either issues at their previous schools,
right,
like Tierno Silla, or they go for guys that just barely played, like William Morton at South Dakota State, like Orope from Columbia. You go get Tariq Ingram late, very late in the cycle, obviously, and he was productive at Rider.
But at Rider.
Yeah. And he shows up kind of out of shape, so that hinders him. And you obviously get Simon Majak as well. And he looked pretty good for a while, but it seems that teams have, started being able to take advantage of his lack of development at this point. Right. I still think Simon Majak is going to be a really good high major starting big one day, but he's just not there right now. And because he's not there, you have to limit his time on the floor. You have no real identity in the front court at all. And perhaps you could have gotten something if you didn't bet the farm on Dane Danger to return. Because, man, Memphis was obviously strapped for cash a little bit in terms of portal shopping, but they could have gotten something better than Aaron Bradshaw. It's pretty hard to argue that, I'd say. And Sam, I mean, you and I feel are just as familiar with that as anybody, because you and the helmsman broke, maybe not necessarily broke the story, but you added a lot of context to the story this past week. Of course, it first, I guess, breaks on the ESPN broadcast during the Vanderbilt game that Penny had fined Aaron Bradshaw. And then you come out with a number that's the details $20,000+ that is being removed from his revenue sharing compensation and being, redistributed amongst the rest of the roster. And Penny seemed to indicate after Mississippi State that Aaron Bradshaw is not the only one that's being fined.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of wild to me. It's not exactly surprising because these guys are more or less employees of the school now. I know it's not. Right. I know they're not officially employees or anything, but
that's what the lawyers are fighting for.
Let's be real here. Let's embrace reality. These guys are being fined, just like any professional athlete.
Not fined. Money withheld.
but money. Penny literally said fines.
Yeah, I know.
So
yeah,
if he's saying fines, I think we can say fines.
100%. Yeah. And I think with the whole Danger and PJ thing, waiting on PJ, that was all you could do. You had no other option. PJ gamed the system as best as he could. Maybe he came out on top. Maybe he didn't. But PJ did what he could. Memphis did what they could. But Penny hasn't had good luck with waivers in the past. Danger, from everything we knew, the odds weren't good. I don't want to revisionist history this too bad and say hindsight's 2020, but look, Roman, bigs are so expensive. You're paying Aaron Bradshaw a lot of money.
Trust me, they are. They are.
No. A lot of 20K less now, but a lot of money.
Just for context, what Aaron Bradshaw got fined, let's just say it was $20,000. It was probably probably more than that, probably less than that. Let's just say that, because I don't want to reveal exact numbers here, but let's just say it was 20,000. That's like 2% of what he's making. So it's not like a real sizable amount, but it certainly sends a message there.
Right. I think the report got bigger than I initially thought it would, or the context of what I did got bigger, because I don't think people realize how much money Aaron Bradshaw is actually making, because he's just not been that great. And the thing is about what's happening on the court, Bradshaw, like, he looked fine. He played 20 minutes, had 5 and 5 against Alabama State. He looked okay, but the room to keep optimism about Aaron Bradshaw has always been, he's a 5-star, yada yada. He has this pedigree. Once he goes against a bad competition, he'll finally step up. He had 5 inches on everyone against Alabama State, and he just didn't look like he was. He looked like he belonged, but he didn't look like he was just the best player out there. He didn't look close to it. And so, I don't know, when he plays against American Conference talent, we'll see a lot more of what he's actually about. But someone getting fined $20K, and it's just a hard pill to swallow with how expensive bigs are. Because I don't know the numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but all that other talent, all that other big talent from Memphis, Roman, you're also paying them a lot of money. You know what I mean? And they all stink. So
this roster, I know it doesn't necessarily feel like it, because you've been going against power conference schools like Louisville, who are spending tens of millions of dollars in the transfer portal, but this Memphis roster is still worth millions of dollars. It is still a multi-million-dollar roster. I think I've said this before on this show, but Memphis spent more money on this year's roster than last year's roster,
which is almost impossible to believe. That's just looking at talent, because last year's team talent compared to this year, it's ridiculous that's the truth.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Whatever Memphis spent on last year's roster, we're not going to disclose exact numbers here, but what Memphis spent on last year's roster was basically equivalent to a top 15 to top 10 pool in the country. Memphis doesn't even crack the top 20 now.
Yeah.
So, like, I think they're still somewhere in the top 30 to 40, but it's not near where it was, compared to the rest of the nation even a year ago. These power conference schools stepped up. They're spending in a big way this portal season, and Memphis couldn't do that for a lot of reasons. Mainly because all of their fundraising efforts were being put towards finishing the football stadium renovations. And again, from Memphis' standpoint, that's something that they felt like they had to do, because again, they have to do what they think is necessary to remain relevant and competitive across the entire college sports landscape, not just basketball.
Right.
And one of the negative benefactors of that, or one of the negative trade-offs of that, is, the basketball roster is not going to be as expensive or as lucrative as it maybe could have been. And there are other factors as well, but because of all that, Memphis kind of ended up where they were.
Right. Every decision Ed Scott has made in the a little bit over a year he's been here has been with the university getting to a bigger conference in mind. That's literally what it is. And now,
it's what he was hired to do. So.
Right, exactly. And I think he's done a good job. I think every Tiger fan will tell you Ed Scott has not been perfect, but he's done the job well. And unfortunately, Penny Hardaway gets to he's not a benefactor, we'll say. He long term, if everything goes well and Penny still decides to remain at Memphis, and Memphis gets to a bigger conference, guess what? You finally get to play with the big dogs. But right now, you're in the American Conference. For as long as you're in the American Conference, you're going to hang around that 30 range of just spending.
Besides the fines and everything, after Mississippi State, the question that I asked him was a pretty simple one. What is the most discouraging thing that you're just seeing out of this Memphis team right now? And he told me it's the lack of buy-in. Mm-hmm. Sam, they're 12 games into the year. And you're still seeing the buy-in not getting to where it needs to be. He straight up told me it's never taken this long for the buy-in to happen. And then I asked him after Alabama State, like, are you any closer to, having established roles or rotations? He told me no. It was a pretty funny moment that actually happened there. He couldn't even he couldn't stop himself from laughing at that point, because I think part of him is just as lost in this whole cycle as the rest of us are.
Yeah, Penny. I want to take one moment away from the point. I'm going to go on a quick tangent. Penny is so fun. Penny is awesome. The city of Memphis loves Penny. He loves the city of Memphis. But just, you don't get coaches like Penny because his background is so different. But look, he came out and said, "Oh yeah, we're finding guys. Everyone in the country's finding guys." And then he said, "We don't know what we're doing." Like he just admits it, and that's so cool. College coaches don't do that. Listen, I covered 3 years of Ryan Silverfield. I didn't hear one quote that was anything compared to what we've gotten out of the last week of Penny Hardaway. And I want Tiger fans to appreciate who Penny Hardaway is for being unapologetically Penny. Now, part of who Penny is, he's just an optimistic guy. He believes in the best of people. I think that's just how he is. And something that he's going to need is, look, Roman, you look across the nation, and it's such a hard thing to decide because people are spending millions of dollars on GMs and scouting departments because that's where this sport has gone. But Penny's just kind of going off vibes, because he's putting the money, instead of money towards scouting department, he's putting the money towards the roster. You know what I mean? Because Memphis still has a good chunk of money to build this roster, but he's just doing it on his own. He's not delegating that much. Nolan Smith is now at Tennessee State and doing actually a pretty good job.
Yeah, and Nolan Smith actually built the majority of this season's roster before he left for Tennessee State.
Okay, that's good context.
Yeah, there's from Dug McDaniel, Aaron Bradshaw, Zach Davis, all three of those guys are Nolan dudes.
Right. But this was bound to happen because bound to happen is harsh. There was always a chance this was going to happen with the Penny roster. It might blow up because of who Penny is, because of how deeply he believes in the good of the people around him, which I just love. But of course, sometimes, I've been pretty critical of this team. I've been pretty critical of Penny, but just what he's shown us in these pressers the last week of, guys, y'all are asking me questions I don't know the answer to. My team certainly doesn't know the answer to. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Now the team might not be good. Who knows? But at least we have Penny Hardaway. That's my take.
I think we know. They're certainly not good compared to what a Memphis basketball team is supposed to be. But they don't necessarily have to be to win the American Conference, I'd say.
100%.
And I guess that kind of brings us to, kind of the central point of what we want to talk about here. Like, what do we even make of this team after 12 games of the non-conference schedule? The non-conference schedule is still technically not over yet because they still got to play Utah State and got to play Utah State in February. But beyond that, non-conference play is done. It's time to move on to the American. And the American part of the season is different compared to the past couple of years. It's because it's easily now the most important part of Memphis' season, not because of the individual games that you're going to get in the regular season, because
there's no Houstons.
Yeah, not just that, but now that the at-large hopes are presumably gone, you're not worried about taking, a quad 3 loss, a quad 4 loss.
Right.
Like, you don't necessarily have to worry about that on a night-to-night basis. The only thing that matters is just winning as many games as you can in order to put yourself in the best position possible in the American Conference tournament. Getting one of those top 2 seeds in Birmingham. So all you have to do to punch your ticket to the big dance is win 2 games in 2 days. That's likely the only way you're getting to March Madness this year. So that's all that matters. And I am interested to see what that is going to be like. losing a game or two in the American isn't going to be backbreaking because your back has already been broken, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good take. And last year and all the other Penny years of when you're fighting for that at-large spot, the conversation is frustrating and you feel like the team might be playing like scared on a night-to-night basis. But look, this team has nothing to lose, so go out there and figure it out because you don't have another option. Because if you don't, season's over. So, yeah, I think it definitely can be a blessing if this team responds the right way of, look, we have literally nothing to lose. We just have to get a top 2 seed. So go out and make it happen.
Yeah, no. What do you think they can? You think they can do it? I mean, the American is bad, but Tulsa has emerged, and South Florida looks to be about as good, I'd say, as they were advertised. But beyond that, the league does not look to be out the slump.
I mean, yeah, the league stinks, but you still have some road games. You have those road games are going to be difficult. Memphis isn't going to go undefeated in this conference, although they should win. Right.
They should, but they're not going
right.
to.
I would say maybe like 5 losses and 4 losses. Like this Memphis team's going to lose games. They're going to disappoint. But at the end of the day, I still believe that they're more talented than everyone else. And honestly, at this point, my hot take, even though I've been super critical, I believe Penny Hardaway is a good basketball coach. I think he's going to figure it out. Figure it out to what level? Who knows? But
I think you can only figure out. I think you can only figure out to a certain extent because of the roster and more importantly, the personalities you have 100%. To deal with. Yeah, Penny 100%. Said on his first radio show of the year that these players are too cool for school, that they don't take anything seriously. Yeah, and I know he said it in kind of a joking way, but yeah, I think he said it. He said it in kind of a joking way, but I think there's a lot of truth and a lot of seriousness behind that. I mean, you're looking at a guy like Zach Davis, who we thought had kind of broken through after Baylor and had kind of bounced back from his shaky start, but now he is back in the doghouse, missing the entire first half of the Alabama State game before playing a good portion and performing well in the second half. Penny said after the game that, I think Zach Davis can be great. I think he can be the best defender in the country, but he has to meet us halfway. He's not even asking. If I'm to interpret that comment correctly, Penny is not even asking Zach Davis for full engagement anymore. He says, meet us halfway.
We can't expect that out of him anymore.
That is...
Which is kind of ridiculous.
If you're at a point where you can't even expect full engagement out of a guy anymore, wow, what are we doing here?
Right. And I've said it before, a couple of minutes ago, but I believe Penny Hardaway is doing what he can. I don't think Penny Hardaway is checked out of this season. I don't think he is. Although it would be really easy and convenient too, because this roster just stinks. These guys just aren't that good. Relative, right? Relative, I still think they're going to get a top 2 seed in the American Conference.
Yeah. Well, Memphis basketball may not have done the best job with its roster construction this offseason, but Memphis football has a chance to construct perhaps its best roster that it's had in a long time, with a lot of hype behind Charles Huff and a big pool of NIL money to work with compared with the rest of the American Conference. We'll talk about what to expect from Memphis football, Sam, in the portal and more after this. We will return on Beat with BCM.
Are the leaders in field goal attempts per game when the guy is touching the ball more than 6 seconds. Luka Doncic, Kenny Stubblefield, does this 12.1 times per game. His true shooting percentage is 53.3%. SGA, 11 times a game, 59%. Ja Morant does this 6.5 times a game, where he has the ball more than 25% of the shot clock, right? His effective field goal percentage is at 32.7, which is leaps and bounds worse than anybody else that's even in this top 10, right? Ja has to do way better there, bro. You can't have possessions where you're killing the shot clock, where you're saying, okay, fuck the play, I'm the play, And that's what you're coming out with, right? Because if you got the ball that long, bro, you're saying, fuck the play, I'm the play. And I'm not mad at you doing that. That is absolutely crazy. And y'all have to find better ways to score.
Tune in to the Anthony Saint Show Monday through Fridays at 1 p.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
We are back on Beat with BCM. Sam Shoemaker, Roman Cleary with you once again. Shemaria Wiseman will not be joining the program this week due to personal reasons yet again, but you will see her interviewing our Mugshots Women's Basketball Player of the Week, Tamya Smith, later on towards the end of the show. But Sam, Memphis football is wrapped up and done for the 2025 season officially after losing to NC State in a Gasparilla Bowl. That was apparently supposed to have no opt-outs, but it seemed like just about everybody opted out ultimately, including Sutton Smith, who, along with A.J. Hill and a litany of other Tiger football players, Kamari Wilson entered, Chris Bracey entered as well. This roster has basically been completely annexed by transfer portal entries and the departure of Ryan Silverfield and everything. I think going into this, we should be expecting about 70 plus new additions yet again, 20 plus new starters. It seemed like this Memphis football roster under Charles Huff in his first year is set for another complete rebuild.
Right. Ryan Silverfield established at least something here in Memphis, and yet last year there were still 70 new players. Charles Huff might even have 80 new guys. Like, at the end of the day, the headline is A.J. Hill, Sutton Smith, just guys, big names within the program. But look, more of a storyline would be people who don't enter the transfer portal rather than people who do enter the portal, because everyone's going to be gone. It's just the cost of playing ball in modern day college football. Now, Memphis lost 31-7 in a pretty ugly Gasparilla Bowl, but guess what? Like, none of it matters, because one, that's in the past, and two, almost everyone who played in that game won't be in Memphis's future. So there's really not too much reason to cover too much of it. Reggie Howard talked about how there'll be no opt-outs, and then Cortez Braham didn't play, but I think that was more for an injury reason. Yeah. And then everyone else didn't play because they were hitting the portal. And, the guys who did play, they needed film so they could go hit the portal. But the guys who didn't play already had the film, so they were just out. AJ Hill had a couple nice throws, but guess what? He's out. And then Sutton Smith hitting the portal is kind of hard, kind of difficult for Memphis fans, because I know he was a fan favorite. He's just a really good player. Like, I don't know. I think Sutton Smith is going to go to the league. I think he might get 5 to 8 touches a game in the league and be on a roster for a long time. Like, I think he's that talented, although he got 5 to 8 touches at Memphis for the last stretch of the season. Thank you, Ryan Silverfield. But look, everyone's leaving. It's going to be an entirely new team. Everything's reset. Another storyline that, I knew of, but it was at the back of my mind, and I was just reminded of, everything is reset. I think you keep the student managers, you keep maybe the academic people, and then everyone else is fired. Because Huff's going to bring his guy. Memphis isn't going to retain a single person from the Silverfield staff. A lot of them are going to Arkansas, but you're getting new directors of player personnel. You're getting new interns. You're getting new video and audio and social media guys. Like, everyone else is new, and it's just the cost of doing business. And it's a sad reality that people who went to school here and were student managers and then worked their way up to player personnel, guess what? Now they have to go find a new job, but that's just the way college football is.
Yeah. I mean, you saw a really big reaction to AJ Hill entering the portal, and you see people saying, oh, the football program's future is done now and things like that. But Charles Huff made it clear from the jump that he wanted a mobile QB. He said that verbatim multiple times in his introductory presser a couple of weeks ago. AJ Hill is not that. AJ Hill doesn't fit Charles Huff's vision, at least on a surface level. I mean, I know that he had a lot of hype coming in, big 4-star recruit, highest rated QB recruit in Memphis history, but he's just not going to be the guy in Charles Huff's mind that's going to lead this program to, the best possible trajectory, the best possible success, at least under his provision there. So I don't know about you, Sam, but to me, it just doesn't feel like as major of a loss as a lot of people are making that out to be.
I would say it's more of a major loss because you spent $500,000 more or less on your third string quarterback who barely played, and then he was just gone for nothing. One of the highest paid players on your roster just gone for nothing. And I think that's what's hard to I guess, come to terms with. But yeah, Roman, you're right. Like, losing AJ Hill doesn't really mean much because so now Huff just hired Kevin Decker. He's the Old Dominion offensive coordinator, and Colton Joseph, Old Dominion's very mobile quarterback who just rushed for 1,000 yards, also hit the portal. There's a couple other options, but I think it's very fair to expect Memphis just to find a veteran quarterback, find a veteran 1-year rental, 2 years if you're lucky, but that's hard to even assume at this point. Kind of just expect another Brendan Lewis. Is that ridiculous to say? Hopefully you can get someone maybe a little bit more talented, maybe a little bit better arm talent, but Brendan Lewis is at this point kind of the archetype. You're looking for a 23, 24-year-old who's played a lot of ball, who can move his legs. I think we'll be seeing a lot of that for the Tigers next year.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. I mean, Sam, and I'm obviously not super tapped on this from the football side, but I've covered now multiple portal seasons on the basketball side, and it's when it's in season, man. When it's portal time, it gets crazy. It takes up a lot of your time. You're making a litany of phone calls, probably more than you do for the rest of the year, to be honest. Like you're checking in with sources each and every single day. It gets really exhausting after a while. And I can only imagine if it's this bad on the basketball side with what I do on football, where it's even crazier and there's even more money involved, it's probably even more insane there.
Right. And so Tiger fans, don't get too down about losing all this talent. That was always like, look, you lost Silverfield, you were going to lose Silverfield's guys. That's what was always going to happen. But Roman, you're right. This portal season is about to be nuts for Memphis, but there's a lot of room for optimism because guess what? They have the money, and Huff can recruit. He can do it. He's done it before. They're going to land a lot of big names. Like, listen, it is going to be fun. This is not, I don't have any sources here. I can't tell y'all exactly what I'm hearing, but look, Memphis is going to land big names. They're going to land guys who were really talented at their previous schools. And that's just what it's going to be. That's what Charles Huff does. And, I would say, yeah, you're losing a lot of these guys, but it'll definitely be a busy portal season for Charles Huff, and to a far lesser degree, me.
Like you mentally ready for it? Because I have to mentally, I have to prepare myself for it every year.
Right.
It's
look,
and
where we are.
The worst part with basketball, it's right after the season, pretty much.
Right. The thing about this is the season.
At least you get some downtime this year. Doesn't open until January 2nd.
Right. I have 2 weeks. Look, but guess what? Guys are entering the portal now, and that's also news. So look, the season never sleeps. My phone line never sleeps. It's just the way it goes, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be in the position I am, talking to y'all right now. There's no way y'all are listening to me. I love that. It's just a blessing, and I think definitely BCM on beat will continue to give y'all that news. But man, it is about to be a nutty portal season for this Memphis football team, and it's going to create. It's what Ryan Silverfield has always done. Guess what? You're going to get 50 to 70 to 80 new players. A lot of them are going to be, and there's a thing that fans will always do, and it's I've talked about it before. It's the reason we watch sports. We're optimistic because what if this goes right? Memphis is going to have a lot of guys, a lot of former 4-stars, maybe a couple like 5-star, maybe guys who were playing at SEC schools, and you're going to think, man, what if they work out? There's going to be so much of that. I think there's going to be more than that now than there ever has been, because Huff is going to go get those guys. Most of them won't work out, but there's always going to be room for optimism with guys that Huff's about to bring in. And I think this season is just going to be a lot of fun because people are bought into Charles Huff. Now, what happens when he's bringing in big names? People are just going to be more bought into him. And I think this will be one of the most anticipated Memphis football seasons in years, just because people care now. And that's really cool. And guess what? You also have the new stadium, and that's just super cool too.
Yeah, no. So we haven't heard much, obviously, so far,
right.
But we have heard, again, about Colton Joseph, the Old Dominion quarterback. There's also the quarterback from West Florida who was originally supposed to go to Florida, but then he
we don't have to get into it.
Saying what we call, I guess, what you would call a racial slur, and while singing to a rap song, so that kind of squanders his opportunity. But it seems like those wounds can only last for so long, because it seems like he's going to be getting back to the D1 level sooner rather than later.
He's balling.
So, after balling out in Division II, Trinidad Chambliss obviously did that before going to Ole Miss. So.
Right. How much money is Trinidad Chambliss going to make these D2 quarterbacks? Like, he's going to make these guys a lot of money.
Yeah, no, for sure. But do you have a sense of how realistic of a shot Memphis might actually have at those guys, or are those just early names that are just getting buzz?
No. Full transparency, y'all and you, Roman, know about those two guys as much as I do. But yeah, Memphis is just going to get a veteran quarterback, and that's going to be fun because they're going to have played a lot of football.
Yeah, well, whatever Memphis ends up getting the portal, again, I can only imagine, based off of everything we've been hearing about Charles Huff and what we know about the resources that Memphis football has at its disposal, the hype behind the new stadium and everything, it's going to be, if everything goes to plan, it's going to be among the more talented rosters Memphis football has had in a very long while. And it should be interesting to see, again, once the portal opens up officially on January 2nd in just a couple of weeks. Sam Shoemaker is not here, obviously, but we will go over the women's basketball team a little bit. They did defeat Southeastern Louisiana while the Mississippi State game for the men was going on in Starkville, so I wasn't able to catch much of it. But it does break a 4-game losing streak for the women. They got Russ College next up to finish up their non-conference schedule on December 28th before going into American Conference play. I mean, does this do anything for you? I guess just to start there.
Absolutely not. Memphis was down with 2 minutes left in the game against an awful Southeast Louisiana team. And look, they low-key should have lost this game. Deja had a nice game. She ended up coming up clutch for this squad, 26-7. But the narrative with this women's basketball team is the exact same. Guess what? They're 5-7, the same record as Penny Squad. But
I guess the much more schedule, but I know
it's just it's a much different 5-7. This team's not very good. Look, I don't want to be too harsh. You got into the win column. You have to get into the win column twice in a row playing against semi-local Rust. That's Holly Springs, right? Is that local? I don't know.
It's not exactly local, but it's close.
Right. It's close. It counts.
After like Olive Branch, I wouldn't consider anything in Mississippi what you would call local.
That's fair. North Mississippi, North Memphis foe, Russ College coming into El Marone. You got to win that one. Now, it's not guaranteed, but Russ College, I'm going to be honest with you, Roman. I don't know a thing about Russ College women's basketball this season, but you just got to win that one. And then after that, you hit another midday game that also coincides with the men's team on New Year's Eve at 2 p.m. You just got to start picking up wins. We're not going to make a judgment on Alex Simmons, on what she is, what she's done. Alex Simmons, she's in her third year. This is the culmination of everything she's built. Now, what she's built hasn't been that great, but if she can string something together, and listen, I'm not in these rooms, I'm not in these meetings, but I would assume this is exactly what Ed Scott's thinking. Ed Scott didn't hire Alex Simmons. Ed Scott's funneling a lot of money to the Memphis women's basketball team.
Indeed.
They have to string together quite a few wins here and impress. Because if they repeat last year of this conference schedule, everyone's got to go. That's not harsh. That's not beyond reality. That's just what it is. If you don't start winning at the culmination of your third year, you have to go. So I think it's important to beat Southeast Louisiana in a game they honestly probably shouldn't have won. But look, you got to string something together. I don't have many other thoughts than that. It's just fact of the matter.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of, scary for, I think, Memphis looking at this because they've looked bad against pretty poor competition at certain points in the non-conference. And now you're going into an American conference that isn't great, but it's got some high-quality teams in there.
Right.
In a lot of cases, higher quality than what you've been facing throughout most of the non-conference schedule.
Right.
Like, are you going to be able to hold up? Like, is Memphis going to be able to even make the American tournament? Like, that's the thing, because only the top 10 teams in the league make it now. It's not not guaranteed anymore.
Right. And look, if it gets to that point, honestly, if it gets to a point where you're like, man, we're not going to make the tournament, do you just get rid of her mid-season? I don't know what Ed Scott's philosophy is there, but and I don't want to get too far into it because we're not even there yet. But
yeah,
it's still something you have to consider. You know what I mean? It's our job to consider all the possibilities, and there's a possibility that this team is really, really bad because it's different from the men's side. The men's side has been playing good teams. Now they're about to play bad teams. The women's team has been playing a mix of okay and bad, and now they're about to play a more mix of okay and bad. And guess what? They've been bad against it. So it's fair to assume they're going to be bad against the okay and bad teams.
Yeah, no, it's a very precarious situation there. Let's go to our Mugshots players of the week real quickly. First, for the men's side, it's Curtis Givens III. He obviously returns to the lineup after missing 5 games in a row with a thigh injury, and he scores 18 points against both Mississippi State and Alabama State, providing, I think, a really nice, punch off the bench that I think Memphis was missing for a while there. He didn't look particularly great at the beginning of the season, especially in exhibition play. But since the regular season began and since he's come back to the lineup in these past couple of games, it seems like he and Julius Thedford, the 2 Memphis products, are really becoming something for this team. Maybe not in a way that can help Memphis achieve everything it wanted to achieve this year, but these are both true sophomores.
Right.
That, if you're able to keep them around, and you're going to assume that they want to stay around because they're both Memphis guys, you could maybe have something there. And obviously Thedford really stands out in the rebound and defensive department. He had 10 rebounds against Alabama State, still leads Memphis as a 6'4" guard with 6 rebounds a game, which is just crazy. And now you have Givens here, again, our men's Mugshots player of the week, really ramping up the scoring there. So shout out to Mugshots for sponsoring our player of the week segment. Once again, we will be having a men's basketball Tigers live watch party for the Rice game on January 3rd and for the Tulsa game on January 21st. So be sure to come out to the West Poplar location in Collierville. Mugshots Grill and Bar, the South's premier sports bar. Hang out with us, Tigers Live. We thank them for hosting that and for sponsoring this Mugshots Player of the Week segment yet again. But Sam, we are going to this conversation, the Mugshots Player of the Week interview with women's basketball forward Tamya Smith. She is the Mugshots Player of the Week for the second week in a row for the women's side. She does very well against Southeastern Louisiana as well. You see it on the ticker here, 14 points and 10 rebounds. So she was one of the few returners from last year's team. She and Bailey Gilmore, I believe, are the only ones. And this has been an undeniably rough season, but it does sound like, Memphis at least has something of an ability to at least rely on her there.
Yeah, Tamya came in. She was 17 as a freshman. She stuck with it. Alex Simmons always talk about Elijah Smith, who is Alex Simmons' just superstar for 5 years, including Gardner Webb and Memphis. But she always talked about how Tamya is the next Elijah, and that's kind of what she's turning into. You know what I mean? She had 27 and 8 the previous game against Murray State, bad loss, but she's just showing what she can be. And I think it's important that she came back. I think that's really important that you were able to retain her. I know she made, I think, all conference freshman second team or something like that. It's cool to keep those players around that just were conference honors, and then 14 and 10 against Southeast Louisiana. This team needs more scoring, and she's definitely not afraid to shoot the rock. She's definitely not afraid to take it to the rack. She's a good off-ball cutter, I'll say, because they run a lot of those like high-low actions, and then the high post will get it, and then she'll just cut to the rack, and then she'll get it. She gets fouled a lot of times, gets to the line. She's just a solid player. She gets it done, good role player. You want some more scorers around her, but Tamya Smith can play a lot of basketball on a winning team, and you don't have too many of those players around. And I think she's definitely been impressive this year.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. Again, our women's basketball beat reporter, Shemaria Wiseman, she's not on the show tonight, but she did chat with Tamya Smith for our Mugshots Player of the Week interview. We will get to that right here, right now. Sam and I will be right back after this.
Hello, welcome everybody. I am Shemaria Wiseman, as y'all know, the beat reporter for the Memphis women's basketball team. And I am joined here with Tamya Smith for the women's basketball team. Tamya, how are you today? Oh, you're on mute. You're muted. Hey. How are you today, Tamya?
I'm doing very well, actually. I just got done with practice not too long ago.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the questions. I'm going to take you back in time just like I did a couple of weeks ago with Shay Harris. Last season, you were a Memphis Tiger. And towards the end of that season, you ended off very strong. You earned back-to-back American Freshman of the Week honors. You had great performances against Temple, Tulsa. You had 21 points against Florida Atlantic. What was it like to see your growth and confidence develop over the course of the season last year?
It took a lot of patience. I would say that. I had to build up with that. In practice, I was the only freshman at the time. Another freshman, she was hurt. So I really was going through kind of some stuff myself. But I had my coach on my side, Coach Whitney at the time. And she was really just always in my ear, letting me know, like, you can do whatever you want to. Just put your mind to it and always work hard and it'll come to you. And just trust in the process, really.
Yeah, that you did, because you finished you finished that year off very strong. What did it mean to you personally, to earn those conference recognition, and how validating was it to see your work play off on the big stage?
I was really relieved, actually, because like I said, all the work, blood, sweat, and tears I put into the game, like off the court, including, or like by myself in the gym, I'll be late at night working on my stuff. So to see it all like finally come together and actually work, it felt good, really good.
Would you say that some of the players during that time also helped, be like a mentor or guide your direction of play on the court as well?
Yeah, they helped me a lot mentally, especially because like they all had experience and everything. Mm-hmm. Being vets, they all just helped me mentally just be stronger when it came to making mistakes, letting me know that like all the mistakes I'm making, they're making it too, especially Elijah Smith.
Yes. Great player, Elijah Smith. You're one of the only two players who chose to return to the University of Memphis. What went into you wanting to return?
It wasn't nothing much, honestly. I just trust Coach Alex, and I felt like I had a gut feeling that whatever what's going to happen next season is going to be it's going to work out regardless. It's going to work out. So I just trusted her, honestly.
And with your, connection with Coach Alex Simmons last season, in her system, did you kind of feel like you had a sense of like responsibility to be a leader for this season's team?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And I would assume you took like the guidance from like the players last season as well. Their leadership carried it over into this season.
Mm-hmm.
And from your perspective, what would you say is the biggest difference from last season's team to this season's team?
The biggest
on the court, off the court.
On the court, off the court?
Yeah.
I would definitely say this team has a lot of chemistry off the court. We don't have to force each other to hang out with each other. Like, we're all, if you see one of us, you're gonna see about 10 of the other ones. On the court, I would definitely say everybody wants it. You could tell, regardless of how the game is going or how practice is going, like, we all are gonna try to get what we're going for, basically.
I like that. And like in terms of like, what are some ways that this team has been able to build that chemistry that unfortunately last season's team couldn't do? If that makes sense.
Like, it was just simple stuff, honestly. Like, we get a red card, so just going with each other out to eat or helping each other shoot around on the court. Like, if you see oh my gosh, my bad. If you see somebody who needs like a rebounder, is sitting there just to help them rebound, or just chilling in the training room, just doing treatment together. It was like the small stuff, honestly.
Okay. Now back to you as a basketball player. What part of your game do you feel has grown the most since last season, and where do you still feel you can take another step?
I feel like everything around my game has grown. Like, I still haven't showed everything in my bag yet, where it comes to like being more so versatile when it comes to like being a guard. My confidence definitely has risen compared to last year, and I'm way more aggressive. I fiend for the contact now. Like, I want the contact now. So that was kind of different from last year as well. I was kind of shying away from contact, but this year, putting on weight and everything, I want the contact.
I like that. And we could tell because in that game, Murray State, you had a standout performance. You finished with 27 points, 8 rebounds. You carried basically much all of the offensive load in that game. When you're having that kind of game, how do you balance scoring with trying to get your teammates involved as well?
When I'm having that type of game, I really just try my best to like let my teammates know, hey, I know I'm scoring everything, but also I need y'all to get going as well. So like some possessions, if I see like someone's maybe doubling me or something like that, I'll try to set a screen for like maybe, for example, Shea Harris or Corey. Because I know they're going to get downhill, and getting them to score will get them going as well.
Okay. And granted, you did have a phenomenal performance. Tigers still unfortunately lost. But like going forward, from that loss, like going forward, what is the message like right now in the locker room as y'all headed to the next game Saturday?
The message, I would just say we're coming to kill. Like, we're angry, we're mad. Like, this is probably our 4th loss in a row. We need a win. We're hungry for it, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to get to it.
Okay. And then just to end it off on a fun note. Who is a player that you looked up to and tried to model your game after? Anybody. It could be male or female, too, by the way.
Like NBA or WNBA. Both. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Durant, NBA wise.
Sharpshooter.
Ranges and everything. WNBA, Candace Parker.
Okay, elite players. I love those. But thank you, Tamya Smith, so much for this interview. Yes, like I say, catch her. By this time, the game will probably be done. Y'all will have already played by the time this airs. But make sure y'all continue to support the Memphis women's basketball team and Tamya Smith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We thank Tamya Smith for, again, participating in our Mugshots Player of the Week interview this week. Well, Sam, you have any special Christmas plans coming up here?
No, man, maybe hit a Christmas Eve service. I guess when this is airing, that might be exactly where I am, out at Harvest Church. But I did like what Tamya said. Look, she said they're coming to kill and they're hungry, and we'll see what that culminates into. But that's what that team needs. Roman, what's your Christmas look like?
Well, I mean, I have two different family functions to go to.
Okay.
One mid-morning, one in the evening. So it'll be quite a chaotic day, and we do our own stuff at the house on Christmas Eve as well. So going to be an eventful couple of days here for sure. But we hope that Christmas goes well for everyone watching this program as well. Hope you spend it with your families, get fantastic gifts, this, that, and the fourth. And we will see you back here next time here on Beat with BCM. Happy holidays for Sam Shoemaker, for everyone else here on the Bluff City Media Network. This is Roman Cleary signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of On Beat with BCM. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.